Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Power of the Elements just made its arrival into the TCG, and that means more inductees into the Hall of TCG Exclusives. Libromancers had a good run, but now it's time for some fresh faces to make their fortunes this format, and we're gonna do it with fish. In a design decision paralleled only by Fur Hire in its fey-like whimsy and willingness to mess with the language for a joke, the Ghoti are a new synchro theme that seeks to do what Adamancipators did for rocks, and bring the oft-forgotten fish type into the modern metagame. And while any shark player will ask why everyone's making such a big deal about that when they've already been around, since their payoffs tend to be anything but fishes, you can see why so many people are elated at the prospect of this support. So let's turn our telescopes to the sea of stars to observe these new space creatures, find out how their combos flow, then see what creatures can join the school of fish from the final frontier. It's time to...
say the line!
MBT.
I'm teaching these fish to synchro summon!
But before we continue, a quick reminder to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content so far. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and there's no better way to get there than on our dual runners. Our next stop is 40k, which means Leo and Luna Explained, where we'll be covering Ancient Fairy Dragon's companions, the Power Tool Dragons, Morphtronics, and any other cards that are more than meets the eye. We've also got our Discord, where we just stocked up on some delicious Columbos. I also have a Twitch where you can join me for viewer duels, progression polls pulls, and chaos draft pulls for the foreseeable future. And don't forget about my Patreon, where you can gain access to my videos early, reach some of these milestones, as well as helping to determine which videos I make. Thank you all so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So what's the deal with Ghoti? Well, they're a series of water attribute fish-type monsters with an affinity for banishing and synchro summoning, which, considering past formats, makes sense. After all, you are what you eat, and a very particular worm archetype has been doing a lot of that. However, their names are probably the best parts about them. There doesn't seem to be a reason for this that ties into the creatures the cards are trying to convey, but the archetype's name is a pretty funny example of how the English language is a little funky. Like, take the word enough. Despite the end of this word having an F sound, it's represented by a GH, like the beginning of Ghoti. The O comes from the plural of woman, women, and the TI comes from nation. So if you take those sections out of their base word and stick them together, Ghoti can be pronounced like fish. It's all very funny, and while I would have loved to see this carry over to the rest of the theme, the rest of the names are anagrams, which are neat, but not quite as chuckle-worthy. But enough about how language jokes always get a giggle out of me, let's move on and talk about our monsters. Pace's Light of the Ghoti is a level 2 tuner monster with 0 attack and defense, and you can banish this card you control to special summon a fish monster you control, except a copy of itself. And during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. And during your opponent's main phase, if this card was special summoned this turn, as a quick effect, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a fish synchro monster using this card you control. So the way it works seems pretty obvious. On your turn, you banish it to deploy any other fish, and then during your opponent's turn, Paces comes back and acts like Formula Synchron to drop a fish synchro at quick effect speed. However, its effects do allow for a lot of lenience. For instance, its special summon to banish effect doesn't care how it was banished, so you can use cards like Gold Sarcophagus, or banish it from the grave to pay some kind of cost. Also, its quick synchro effect doesn't care how it was special summoned, so Back to the Front and Call of the Haunted can accomplish this as well. And while you can only synchro summon fish synchros using its quick effect, you can use it as a tuner for anything otherwise. Now, while our fish synchro pool may be small, we shouldn't worry about that because, as I'm told, there's a million fish in the sea, so more are bound to show up eventually. Schiff, Fairy of the Ghoti, is a level 2 tuner monster with 0 attack and 500 defense, and you can banish this card from your grave, then target a fish monster you control, and it gains 500 attack until the end of the turn. And like Paces, it's special summoned during the next standby phase after it was banished, and can quick synchro during your opponent's main phase if special summoned that turn. This positions Schiff as a more long-term usage tuner. While Paces is amazing at starting your plays, it can only banish itself while on the field, but after being used as synchro material, it's just going to be stranded in the grave without any other help. Schiff, on the other hand, has no such issues, since because it banishes from grave, it can perform the loop turn after turn, all while giving one of your fish a little extra attack to shift the tides of battle. Enoch, Sentry of the Ghoti, is a level 6 monster with 2100 attack and 0 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower fish monsters and special summon it in defense position, but negate its effects. Also, you can banish a fish monster from your hand or face-up field to add a Ghoti trap card from your deck to your hand. This card pairs particularly well with Paces because, spoilers, one of our synchros is a level 8. So you banish Paces, summon Enoch from hand, who then summons back Paces to make that 8. Now, this does turn off Paces' Reborn effect because it'll be in the grave, but stay tuned because we're going to see a part 2 to this combo in just a bit. Alternatively, you can banish the Paces you brought back to search our trap card, which puts our little jellyfish back on track for a Reborn and Quick Effect Synchro on your opponent's turn, while setting up a pretty neat trap card. Enoch may be one light in the bright night sky, but for our theme, they're a particularly shining manta ray of sunshine. Alright, it's synchro time. Ascan, the bicorned Ghoti, is a level 8 monster with 2700 attack and 0 defense, requiring generic material. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target a fish monster you control and a card your opponent controls and banish them. And if this card is banished, you can banish a fish monster from your grave to special summon this card. As mentioned previously, you're generally going to use the Paces and Enoch interaction to summon this, and you can do it in 2 ways. If you sync for this on your turn by not banishing Paces with Enoch, then when you trigger the on-synchro summon effect, you can choose for the banished fish to be Ascan. When you do this, its own Reborn effect will kick in, and you can banish the Paces in grave to do so. This means you'll have a level 8 synchro and a level 2 tuner to make a level 10 fish tuner on your opponent's turn. And spoilers, we've got a board wipe! The alternate route is less explosive, only ending on the Ascan banish on your opponent's turn, but you do get to search that trap card, which is pretty neat. And even outside of Ghoti, since the materials are generic, I could see this being played in a variety of synchro decks. Maybe not Sword Soul because they already have a Yazi type card, and maybe not decks that like to blow up their own cards because Black Rose Dragon already exists. But if you're better at making level 8 synchros than 7s, need a bit more accuracy with your removal, and would rather banish than destroy, this fish can dish it out. Yeah, I know it's bad, but considering present company, I think it's okay to make a bi-corny Joker too. Ghoti of the Deep Beyond is a level 10 monster with question mark attack and 0 defense, requiring 1 or more fish tuners, interesting, and 1 or more non-tuner monsters as material, and this card's original attack is treated as 500 times the number of banished monsters. This means you don't get any bonuses from playing Pot of Desires, because all banished cards are face down, but we'll be doing plenty of banishing to make sure this card gets a healthy attack value. And thankfully, it counts all banished monsters, so if your opponent starts getting a little careless with their resource spending, you reap the benefits. And if this card is synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, you can banish all cards on the field. And during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card. And this is where our tuners being able to quick synchro comes in very handy. As long as it's your opponent's main phase, you can pull the trigger on a complete board wipe and force them to rebuild from square one. And if they're not good at accessing the banished zone, then you're even better off. And its attack power will likely increase with each turn, making this a profoundly powerful monster in no time, so you can go deep beyond. Plus Ultra! Now, our theme isn't very big right now, but we do have a couple pieces of spell and trap support to help us out. The Most Distant Deepest Depths is a field spell, and while you control a fish synchro monster, this card can't be destroyed or banished by card effects. It can banish a fish monster from your hand or grave to add a Ghoti monster from your deck to your hand, and if any number of fish monsters are normal or special summoned to your field while this card is in your grave, you can target a fish you control, banish it, and if you do, add this card to your hand. Wow, okay, so being a field spell already means you can find this with terraforming, but now you can Foolish Burial Goods this too. If you have a Schiff available, you can Foolish Depths, normal Schiff, and banish it to get the Distant Deepest Depths back into your hand, on top of putting Schiff into the special summon cycle. Also, the protection effect is outstanding, because not only will it help ward off your opponent's efforts to get rid of it, because it won't be washed away by Deep Beyond's field wipe with the way it's worded. And on top of all that, it can banish fishes to find Ghoti Monsters each turn, so it boosts your consistency while also being an engine piece. And this is just what it can do now. Wait until we get more support in Darkwing Blast, because then we'll see the true depths of what this card can do. Ghoti Chain is a normal trap card that banishes a face-up monster you control to special summon one of your Ghoti monsters that are banished or is in your hand, deck, or grave with a different original name from the monster banished to activate this effect, but banish that monster when it leaves the field. So you trade out any fish to get your engine online, or get one of your big bruisers back into the game because you can totally revive your synchros with this. And because you banish for cost, you can begin setting up your Ghotis to provide you with a chain reaction of value. Alright, that's all the Ghoti cards, but what do we do with them? Well, aggro is kinda in the cards, but we do need a big, healthy, Deep Beyond synchro monster to really push for game. So we'll want to take advantage of every banishing synergy this game has to offer, both within the realm of fish and without, and while we're building up steam, we'll be banishing our opponent's board to keep them from mounting an offensive to catch us in their net. So what can we play to help them out? Well, on top of everything else this set gave us in terms of Ghoti, it also gave us a non-archetypal draw spell / retrain, Moray of Avarice. It banishes one of your... we already have the term tri-type to refer to beasts, winged beasts, and warriors, so for the grouping of fish, sea serpent, and aqua monsters, we'll try calling them fry types, because some of these would look pretty good battered and served on a bed of fries. Anyway, Moray of Avarice can banish one of your face-up fry types as cost to draw you 2 cards. And there you go. Now your monsters are banished so they can be revived later, so you don't even lose anything. Can't wait to see how frogs adapt to this. I mentioned earlier that the fish synchro pool is pretty shallow, but that doesn't mean it's empty. For instance, Ravenous Crocodragon Archithis has been bouncing around meta decks giving out free draws, but what I want to focus on is the White Aura line. Many of them can revive themselves from the grave if destroyed by an opponent's card by banishing a different water monster from your grave, which sounds absolutely perfect. And they come back as tuners. What more do I have to say to convince you? There are quite a few of them, but the one I want to focus on is White Aura Whale. You can make this pretty easily in this deck, especially at quick effect speed. It's a lightning storm for monsters only, does piercing, and can attack twice. What a steal! Some other synchros you might want to consider, though you cannot quick synchro them, are Adamancipators Risen Dragite. You will need to have a water monster in grave to trigger the spell and trap negation, but you can keep at least one in there, right? Or Barone, because it's, well, it's Barone.
Oh, come on now, Nova. I know you can be more creative than Barone. Listen, if you really want to make a level 10 synchro play in this deck, let's go ahead and stick to the banishing theme. Ruddy Rose Dragon and Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Chang Ying are fantastic techs for this deck. And the best part, they would only take the same combo as summoning Ascan. You just get Pace's effect to summon Enoch and revive the Pace like normal. From there, synchro summon into Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, summoning your Pace back to the field once more, and pass your turn. Then, during your opponent's main phase, tribute the Axel Synchro to summon normal Stardust Dragon, and synchro summon with that and Pace for either of the aforementioned cards. Speaking of which, Chang Ying gives you more direct interaction with your opponent, as well as a monster that's increasingly difficult to out due to its protection effect, as well as attack modification. While on the other hand, Ruddy Rose Dragon can give you strong disruption against any graveyard strategy, which trust me, there is plenty of in the format right now. And then it can later protect your cards while also summoning out a Black Rose Dragon to give you even more disruption or to set you up with more level modulation for even more synchro summoning options. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Now, back to the regularly scheduled programming.
As for fish support in general, then whoo boy, hold on to your britches, because we're going to wrangle up quite a few. Abyss Keeper is a nifty link too that summons fish from your hand and has an effect similar to Ascan. The Shark cards are here to add Xyz summoning to your roster, because none of your Ghotis lock you into anything. Beautiful Princess can get either of your tuners, and it banishes itself, funny that. Fish and Kicks gives you removal. Fish Death Charge is a removal and a draw at quick effect speed. Oh Fish is Solemn Strike, and Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth can be summoned right out of your hand via Paces, and from that point on, all hell breaks loose. Oh, and I guess Winged Turtle is here too, in case it doesn't miss timing. We're also going to want to look into using as much Banish synergy as we can. We're talking Macrocosmos, we're talking Dimensional Fissure, we're talking Dimension Shifter. Many of these will slow down your opponent while keeping your game plan afloat. As for a silly tech pick, it's gotta be Infernal Queen Salmon, baby! It can be summoned by paces, can then proceed to summon Terror King Salmon, and now you can make any rank 5. Anything that can take generic level 5 material is fair game, but for something a bit more up our alley, a number 94 Crystal Zero into full armor is a great way to deal with a board. Or we could make the new Nash card. I hear there's quite a number of options with that card. And that's all I have to say about Ghoti. I'm already looking forward to the next set because we've got a promising start, and I can't wait to see where it goes with the next wave of support. Wave, because it's water, and we've got fish, and forget it. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Is this deck Ghoti with the sauce synchro style, or is this deck a fish out of water? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to show your support, ring that bell so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with someone you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode was brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander, Ashling Waltz, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ava Gule, Adams Agidel, Avi Chali, Cryptic Gamer, Eric, Frankie, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba331, Great Big Pillock, Howling Zangetsu, Inblink, Ironic, John Manji, Julius Sneezer, Larakia, Meteornus, Mighty Action X, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Ruxith Sarani, The Fresh Prince of Conair, The Wizard Moose, True Neutral, Tyler Cranston and Xander Wolfensberger, Cosmic Crusaders, Bear Sharktopus Studios, Chaz Ghost, Corbinisms, Cozy Boat 275, Harry, the Ominous Benefactor, Jesus Garcia, Manga Pages, Marion James E. Picata, Nitromo, RGS, Rem T. Bright, Shooting Star 3300, Star-Lord 777, and the Legendary Raven, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. I'm only able to continue doing this thanks to the support of these lovely people, so if you'd like to be a part of these credits, as well as help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, please check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you'd like to see another video about a deck that loves synchro summoning, check out this video where I talk about Sword Soul. Bonus, there's lore. And if you want to see two Yugi-tubers going at it, check out Noah Jenkinai's latest series, Progression Polls, where your voice shapes the format. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.